The Premier League is finally here. We are getting our Chelsea back after a couple of weeks. We've had a lovely summer. We've had a great pre-season. We did win the Club World Cup in that time since the Premier League did end. And we've had two pre-season games against AC Milan and Bayer Leverkusen. And we look good. I'd say for me personally, this is the first time under the Clear Lake and Todd Bowley ownership where I've been like itching and eager for a season to start, because this Chelsea team looks promising. Under Enzo Maresca, from when we first started the season, we started last season very well. We did people putting us in a title race. Us Chelsea fans didn't believe it, and then we had that dip in December, and then we were back to like the Chelsea of the past couple of years. But then we picked it up. We got ourselves two trophies. We got ourselves back into the Champions League without even needing that fifth spot. And yeah, Chelsea just hit that one upward trajectory. Crystal Palace as the first game of the Premier League season at home. Boy, do I wish I was at that game, man. I did struggle to get tickets. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are struggling with the new ticketing system. But that's a story for another day. We start the season with a London derby against Crystal Palace, the FA Cup winners of last season. And they've just won the Community Shield against Liverpool, which is a big statement to the rest of the league. I wouldn't say a big statement because I doubt anyone thinks that Crystal Palace are going to obviously compete for the title or get top four. But they are going to be playing in the Conference League, and they are a very good team. They've still got Eberechi Eze on their hands. Whether or not he does make the move to Arsenal, that's definitely not going to happen between now and obviously when we play them. So that'll probably be a move for after we do play them. So they are going to have Eze still there. They've got likes of Mateta as well. They've got Munoz, who's a brilliant fullback. And they've got Mark Guehi again. He's been linked to rumoured with a transfer away to either most likely Liverpool. And it'll be interesting to see where he does end up. He could even just stay at Crystal Palace. He is their captain and he's a brilliant centre-back. He's one of their better players. We were linked to him at some point during this window, and obviously Chelsea are in need of a centre-back. And we are hearing reports about Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen, who could cost around 60 million euros, if I'm not mistaken, who is a very good centre-back, and we are going to need a centre-back now that Levi Cole is injured. Enzo Maresca did confirm in his press conference that he would ideally like to sign another centre-back before the window opens. He did communicate that with the board. So it will be interesting to see what happens, because I feel like we do need one now that Levi Cole is injured. Even though I don't think it is such a big miss, it is still a miss nevertheless, because Levi Cole, towards the end of last season, really did pick up his form. But going into this game against Crystal Palace, which is obviously what you guys are here for, what do I want to see from this game? I just want to see us take the game to Palace. We're at home. I want to see some of the stuff we've seen during pre-season, like the non-stop attacks, the chances down the wings, through the middle, and then put Crystal Palace on the back foot, because eventually they will concede. When you've got quality in the attacks up to João Pedro, Liam Delap, if you need to bring him on, I think would be better suited against a low block where Crystal Palace are on the back foot. You've got the wingers like Esteval, who even though I don't think will start this game, I think if you bring him on towards the latter stages of the game, he can cause a bit of trouble. Gittins on the left wing again, getting down that wing with his pace, his blistering pace, putting Munoz under pressure. And obviously all these attacking qualities give Cole Palmer less pressure, because like no one's going to be, the Crystal Palace defenders aren't just going to be fixated on marking him and nullifying him out the game. Now Cole Palmer, as you noticed in pre-season, he has more room to free roam, more room to go on the left, more room to go on the right, stay in the centre, which again, when Cole Palmer has that kind of space, you know it's long for the other team, man. He can cause all sorts of trouble. He can create, he can spray passes and score goals. Like, we know what Cole Palmer's about. He's been here 2 seasons now, and he just looks like he's getting better and better. Obviously, we can't ignore the threat that obviously Crystal Palace do have, which I did touch on earlier on in the video. Eberechi Eze, brilliant player, England international. We need to just make sure that we don't give him enough space, because again, once he's on the ball, similarly to Cole Palmer, he can create something out of nothing. His dribbling is brilliant, his passing as well, and even his shooting, long range and short range. Like, you don't want to put him in the positions where he can have a shot, because it could end up in the back of the net. So obviously we're going to need our midfield. We're going to need Caicedo to do a job on him, not specifically man mark him, because I don't like Caicedo particularly man marking a player, because I think that absolutely nullifies his ability to get forward. His passing is very underrated in the Chelsea team, so I don't want him just man marking Eze. But we know what Caicedo's like. When he sees someone on the ball, he'll be there, he'll win it. His tackling is world class. We saw that last season. The 100 million that we paid for him, no one talks about it anymore for a reason. Caicedo is just there when you need him. He's consistent. He's been consistent throughout the whole season, and we're going to need him to do a job on Eze. Jean-Philippe Mateta as well, in my opinion, is a very underrated striker. He possesses many qualities that I like to see in a striker. The size, the bulk, the ability to just hold off a defender, bring players in like Eze, who I mentioned. Once he gets on the ball, obviously once he lays it off to Eze can go around and obviously finish the ball. Sort of finish a goal, should I say. So we're going to need to be mindful of that. Also, he is an aerial threat, so our centre-backs are going to need to be very mindful of that when obviously players like Munoz, players like Tyreek Mitchell putting the balls in. So Crystal Palace aren't going to be a walk in the park, as I've explained, but I think Chelsea will have enough to get the 3 points on the day. I will get into my score prediction in the latter stages of this video, but yeah, we're going to need to be careful of them. But I think if Chelsea, if we play the way we did in pre-season, just absolutely taking the game to them, we're at home, getting the fans off their seat, creating chance after chance, I think it's going to be an easy 3 points on the day. It can be an easy 3 points on the day. As I say, I think with Chelsea, we make it hard for ourselves, not necessarily the opposition. We saw that last season, like teams like Ipswich coming here and obviously putting us on the back foot. And there's plenty of other examples. So we make the games hard for ourselves by obviously the silly mistakes, which I think have been, touch wood, I think have been cut out from the defence. I think Robert Sanchez, he stepped up, especially towards the last stages of the Premier League season and in the Club World Cup. That final performance was absolutely brilliant. And from what I went to the pre-season game against AC Milan, and his distribution looks good. Again, touch wood. Because obviously, if we are going to be challenging for the title, which fans like myself expect from this team, we can't afford any silly mistakes, let alone like the one or two. We can't afford any, because in the Premier League, it's an unforgiving league. You will get punished with strikers like Erling Haaland, with strikers like Ekatike now, Sesko, Gyökeres. You'd get punished. With all that being said, let me take you into my starting 11. Now, we start off in goal. We're going obviously Robert Sanchez. We know he is the first choice keeper. It doesn't look like we are going to be signing a keeper this window. As I just mentioned, we can't afford any silly mistakes, because in the Premier League, if we are going to want to do something at the end of the season, and that means compete for a title, we can't afford that at all. So Robert Sanchez is my number one goalkeeper. Right back, the captain starts the first game of the season. Reece James at right back. We're going to need him. And listen, in the pre-season games, he was absolutely brilliant, especially against AC Milan. He absolutely locked up. Listen, pen in my pocket, yeah. That is Rafael Leao, and I'm Reece James, yeah. I'm Reece James. This is Rafael Leao. Just came out my pocket. He absolutely locked up Leao, and he just done such a good job defensively. Honestly, when he's fit, if he'd stayed fit throughout the entire time that he's been playing, he'd honestly be the best right back in the world right now. Just fitness has been an issue for him, but I think Reece James, he's just a quality defender, quality going forward as well. We're going to need him in this game. Two centre-halves, as I mentioned with Mateta, he's an aerial threat, so we're going to need height. I would go with both Trevor Chalobah and Tosin. Again, I think both of them centre-backs, they're good centre-backs. Like, people talk about Levi Cole being our best centre-back. Me, personally, I think Tosin last season was our best centre-back. He was our most consistent. He's one of our I think he is our most experienced player, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be Cucurella. But Tosin, we're going to need him in this game to nullify, obviously, Mateta. I think physically Mateta might get the better of him, but that's when you don't want the centre-back to get up close with him, because that gives him the ability to just hold him off. Don't get too close with him. Let him have the ball, let him run at you, and then you put in the tackles in, and just stop that aerial threat. And Chalobah, luckily he didn't get injured the other day. That I was worried when he did go down, but again, he's been brilliant since he's come back from Crystal Palace. Funny enough, he came back from Crystal Palace on loan last season. Missed out on the FA Cup, but then he did go on to win the Conference League and the Club World Cup. But Trevor Chalobah, he's been brilliant. He gets in the team. The left back, the main man, Marc Cucurella, who did just get offered who is going to be offered a new deal from Chelsea. Fabrizio did confirm that it's all been signed off. I think Chelsea just waiting to announce it. But I think that's more than warranted for Marc Cucurella, especially after last season, towards the latter stages of the season before under Pochettino. He's been brilliant. He was one of my players of the season last season. And against Crystal Palace, I think he can do a job. The two in midfield for me, obviously, would be both Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. Now, I know there's going to be people calling for Andre Santos, and I hear it. I think for me personally, what I expect Enzo Maresca to do, I don't think he'll start like the new young players just yet. I'm talking about like Andre Santos and Esteval. I think he'll want to start off with the team he knows best, just to start the league. And then what will happen as these games go on, he'll bring them on in the latter stages of the games, and then obviously get him used to Premier League football. And then obviously eventually, once they do make a name for themselves, and once they do start to impress Enzo Maresca, they will eventually get the start. Because obviously 4 competitions this season, we're going to need rotation. Caicedo is not going to be able to play every game next season. Cucurella isn't going to be able to play every game next season. Neither is Enzo Fernandez. We're going to need the rotation. But for this game, I would start both Enzo and Caicedo, build up on the performances of the Club World Cup and even during pre-season. In the number 10 role, the main man, Mr. Cole Palmer himself, he gets into the team. As I said, Crystal Palace, they're not going to be able to just man mark him on his own, because there's going to be other threats in the attack, which we'll get onto. But Cole Palmer, I expect him to have a good game. I still have this. I don't know about you, Chelsea fans, right? I have this superstition where I don't like putting Cole Palmer in my FPL team, because I have never put him in yet, and he's just been absolutely balling out. I'm scared if I put him in, it's going to have an effect on him. I'm not a very superstitious guy, but I'm just apprehensive about putting him in for that reason. But Cole Palmer gets into my team against Crystal Palace. I expect him to have a good game. Now on the right wing, people are going to be calling for Esteval, and I hear it. He was brilliant in the pre-season games. Obviously, we saw him at Palmeiras in the Club World Cup when we played him. He scored that brilliant goal, and he just looks so exciting. And I can't wait to see how he does this season. But for this game to start the season, I would start with Pedro Neto, and that's not a bad thing either. Pedro Neto has been absolutely brilliant. He was arguably the player of the tournament in the Club World Cup, and during the pre-season games, especially against AC Milan. He was balling out. He was absolutely balling out. So, and I think what will happen, Willian Esteval will come on towards the latter stages of the game. Maybe when we're winning, maybe when we're 2-0 up, get him on a bit less pressure because obviously we are winning the game. And just obviously show the Premier League what he's about. But Willian Esteval, I expect him to start on the bench, and Pedro Neto will start on the right wing. Left wing for me, it will be Jamie Gittins. He is, to be fair, right now our only option. Well, there is Tyreek George, but obviously there is rumours of him going out on loan, which I expect to happen towards the window shuts, before the window shuts, should I say. But yeah, Gittins, again, look bright. The only thing I will say about Gittins, which we saw a couple of times in the pre-season games, if he could just finish up on his end product, we've got a player on our hands. We've got an absolute player on our hands. I don't want him to end up like a Noni Madueke where he looked. I'm not saying Noni Madueke is as good as him, but gets in a position. He does all the hard work to get around the fullback, get past the defenders with his pace, and then he'll get in the positions. And then he might go sky high or might go to the side. The end product, if that polishes up, we have a player on our hands. We honestly have a player in our hands, and that's gonna come. That's gonna come with development. That's gonna come with obviously he's still young. He's only 20 years old. Once he gets used to the Chelsea team a bit more, once he gets a bit more comfortable, and his confidence starts to come up. He's going to be scoring goals for fun. I honestly think he will. But Jamie Gittins starts on the left wing for me. And then up front, this is where it gets interesting because toss of a coin for me. Toss of an absolute coin. But I think most Chelsea fans would probably start João Pedro. And I completely hear it. Like, you can't drop João Pedro in the form that he's in right now. Like, I think he scored in his last 4 games. No, last 5 games. Yeah, he scored against Fluminense. Scored against obviously in the Club World Cup final. Scored against no, so that's 4 games. My bad, I'm terrible maths. But João Pedro, you just can't drop him. You just absolutely can't drop him. He's looking like he's going to be our signing of the season. And for someone like me I actually didn't want him, and I look stupid. I honestly look stupid. But João Pedro, yeah, he starts for me. Liam Delap again. He will come on in the game. Maybe just to come on, kill the game off by getting a couple of goals, because we saw that in AC Milan. Like, even with the little service he was getting, the service he does get, like the ball from Andre Santos, instinct, puts it in the bottom corner. And that's what I like from my striker. When I talk about Mateta, that's another quality I like in a striker, just instinct. And that's what Liam Delap has for me. So I expect Liam Delap he will come on in the game. I expect João Pedro to start, however. But that would be my starting 11. Now for the score prediction against Crystal Palace, what do I expect? I think Chelsea will win. I expect us to win 3-1. I think we might concede maybe towards the latter stages of the game, but I think we'll win the game 3-1. But let me know your starting 11 prediction and your score prediction in the comments, and smash a like on the video.